The WNBA is currently navigating a period of internal displacement. For 2 decades, veteran players lobbied for increased visibility, yet the arrival of Caitlin Clark has shifted the league's focus away from its established stars. The attention these players sought has finally arrived, but it is no longer directed at them. It is a situation where the foundational players find themselves overshadowed by the very growth they demanded, seeing their long-term contributions overlooked in favor of a more marketable, immediate attraction. The professional environment is changing rapidly for the league's legends. While public messaging emphasizes the growth of the game, internal decisions suggest a shift toward financial efficiency. A corporate Cold War is emerging where ownership has prioritized immediate profitability over long-term player loyalty. Resources are being funneled toward the athletes who most directly impact the bottom line and transform the league's financial outlook. For years, the WNBA operated at a loss, subsidized by the NBA. However, the 2024 season fundamentally altered the league's economic model. When the Indiana Fever's average attendance grew from 4,000 to 17,000, selling out NBA-sized arenas, ownership shifted its strategy. The focus moved from marketing a collective league to promoting a single attraction. Consequently, marketing budgets are being directed toward Clark-related content, while established veterans like Diana Taurasi and Breanna Stewart are increasingly sidelined in promotional materials. This is not a clerical oversight, but a deliberate business plan. This disparity is reflected in financial negotiations. During media rights discussions with NBC and Amazon, league executives reportedly prioritized the Indiana Fever's schedule over the performance of defending champions. While the Players Association continues to seek a 30% revenue share, ownership remains non-committal. The rationale is purely economic. A significant portion of new revenue is attributed to one source, leading owners to question why they should increase pay for those who do not drive ticket sales. This shift has created a stark environment where the old guard feels increasingly abandoned. Tensions escalated further regarding travel logistics. Despite years of player advocacy for charter flights based on safety and recovery, the league consistently cited high costs as a barrier. That stance changed following high-profile security concerns involving Caitlin Clark at commercial airports. The sudden availability of funds for private travel confirmed a suspicion among veterans. The investment was in the individual, not the collective roster. This has created a fractured atmosphere in locker rooms, where 10-year veterans now watch a rookie receive accommodations that were denied to them for over a decade. The corporate world has followed the lead of the owners. Major brands like Nike, State Farm, and Gatorade have prioritized Clark, while endorsement deals for veteran players are often left to expire. Some agents report that veteran market values are declining, as the media narrative increasingly positions long-standing players as antagonists to Clark's success. By reacting to these changes, many veterans have inadvertently damaged their own brand appeal to major sponsors who seek to avoid controversy. This transition also threatens the future of current rosters. Reports suggest that ownership groups are looking to phase out high-salaried veterans to make room for the next generation of collegiate stars, such as Paige Bueckers and Juju Watkins. This draft-to-profit model prioritizes young, marketable talent over expensive, aging legends. The result is a league that is becoming younger, more cost-effective, and more focused on digital engagement than veteran leadership. Ownership is not just moving forward, it is actively distancing itself from the league's past. The WNBA is moving away from its origins as a collective sisterhood and toward a model centered on a few megastars. Owners have realized they can sustain a profitable league with a rotating cast of replaceable players anchored by 1 or 2 major draws. The veterans who built the foundation are being treated as temporary scaffolding, necessary for construction, but disposable once the structure is secure. As labor disputes intensify, the owners hold the advantage, knowing that fan demand is driven by individual stars rather than labor agreements. Ultimately, these players are discovering that loyalty does not guarantee a return on investment. Regardless of championships won, the league's priorities have shifted toward metrics like streaming subscriptions and ticket demand. The era of the old WNBA effectively ended the moment the 2024 draft began. Ownership is no longer focused on the league's history, but on a future built around a single name, leaving the veterans behind. The economic reality of this shift became undeniable in late 2024, when the Women's National Basketball Players Association officially triggered its option to opt out of the current collective bargaining agreement. This move, while framed as a pursuit of fair market value, has exposed the fundamental divide between the league's historic labor structure and its new revenue potential. For years, the CBA was designed for a league in survival mode, prioritizing modest incremental gains and job security for a small, insular group of athletes. Now the players are seeking a model that reflects a billion-dollar valuation, but the leverage has shifted away from the union as a whole and toward the individual stars who justify that valuation. Ownership groups are no longer negotiating with a unified front of 144 players. They are negotiating with the reality that a fraction of those players generates the vast majority of the league's leverage at the bargaining table. This shift in leverage is most apparent in the restructuring of the league's media rights. The new 11-year agreements with Disney, NBC, and Amazon are projected to bring in roughly $200 million annually, a staggering increase from the previous $60 million. However, the internal friction arises from how that wealth is justified to stakeholders. Network executives have been transparent in private and public forums that their investment is a bet on the Caitlin Clark effect rather than a broad endorsement of the league's historical product. This creates an existential crisis for the veterans who have spent a decade maintaining the league's viability. They find themselves in a position where they are asking for a share of a treasury that was largely filled after they had already peaked. The owner's reluctance to meet the 30% revenue share demand is rooted in a calculation that the legacy product, the games not featuring the new wave of stars, still struggles to attract the ratings necessary to sustain such high wages. The branding of these legacy players has undergone a forced transformation. In the modern sports media landscape, engagement is often driven by conflict, and the WNBA has seen its veterans cast in the role of the antagonist to the new rookie class. This is not merely a social media phenomenon, but a marketable narrative that brands and networks have begun to exploit. When veteran players express physical intensity or verbal frustration on the court, it is no longer viewed through the lens of professional competitiveness. Instead, it is framed as hating or jealousy by a new, massive audience that has no prior relationship with the league's history. This has tangible consequences for the veterans' off-court earnings. Marketing agents have noted that brands are becoming hesitant to sign older players who are perceived as being on the wrong side of the league's most popular figure. The financial incentive is now to be a supporting character in the rookie's story, rather than the protagonist of one's own career. This narrative trap was evidenced by the discourse surrounding signature shoe deals. When Nike announced a signature line for Clark before she had played a single professional game, it highlighted a corporate hierarchy that bypassed players with multiple MVP awards and Olympic gold medals. The eventual announcement of a shoe for A'ja Wilson was seen by many as a reactive measure to quiet internal unrest rather than a proactive investment. This dynamic reveals a preemptive marketing strategy where corporations are betting on the projected ceiling of new talent while treating the proven ceiling of established stars as a secondary concern. For the veteran, the message is clear. Your resume is a matter of record, but it is no longer a driver of future growth. The logistical evolution of the league further illustrates this prioritization of new assets. The sudden implementation of a full-season charter flight program in 2024 was a victory decades in the making, yet the timing remained a point of contention. The league office had maintained for years that the $25 million annual cost was prohibitive. The reversal occurred only when the safety and logistical challenges of transporting a singular high-profile rookie through public airports became a liability for the league's image. Veterans who spent years playing 3 games in 5 days while navigating TSA lines and middle seats now find themselves on private jets. But the awareness that this luxury was granted for someone else's benefit has altered the social fabric of the locker room. The sisterhood that once defined the WNBA is being replaced by a more traditional, cutthroat professional environment where the disparity in treatment is both visible and sanctioned by the front office. This change extends to the composition of the rosters themselves. With the league set to expand into markets like Golden State, Portland, and Toronto, the demand for talent is increasing, but the type of talent being sought is changing. New expansion owners who are paying upwards of $50 million for franchise rights are not looking to build traditional WNBA teams. They are looking for disruptors. There is an increasing emphasis on drafting players who bring their own pre-packaged fan bases from the collegiate level. The draft-to-profit pipeline is designed to ensure that a team is profitable from day one, regardless of its win-loss record. This has placed high-salaried veterans on notice. In a league with a hard salary cap, a veteran earning $200,000 is increasingly viewed as a liability if a rookie on a $76,000 scale can provide more social media impressions and ticket sales. The emergence of the unrivaled 3-on-3 league, founded by Breanna Stewart and Napheesa Collier, is perhaps the most significant indicator of this internal fracture. It is an attempt by the league's elite veterans to reclaim their financial agency outside of the WNBA's traditional structure. By offering equity stakes and higher off-season salaries, the players are trying to build their own house before they are fully pushed out of the one they built for the WNBA. It is a defensive maneuver against a league office that they feel has pivoted too sharply toward a single-star model. However, even this venture faces the same economic reality. Its success will likely depend on whether they can convince the new stars to join them. The veterans are in a race to prove they can remain relevant in a market that is increasingly disinterested in anything that happened before 2024. The demographic shift of the fan base has also forced a change in how the game is officiated and marketed. The influx of casual viewers has brought a different set of expectations. These fans are less interested in the technical defensive schemes or the physical grinded-out style of basketball that defined the league for 20 years. They want high-scoring, transition-heavy games and long-range shooting. Coaches are being pressured to adapt their systems to favor this highlight-friendly style. Veterans who specialized in physical, interior play or defensive specialists find their skill sets becoming obsolete. The league is being optimized for the logo 3, and those who cannot adapt are being phased out of the rotation. There is also the matter of prioritization rules, which were implemented to force players to choose the WNBA over lucrative overseas opportunities. For years, veterans supplemented their modest WNBA salaries by playing in Europe or China. The league's move to restrict this was intended to ensure a better domestic product, but it has backfired in the current climate. Veterans who are now restricted from earning overseas are finding that their WNBA salaries aren't increasing fast enough to compensate for the loss, especially as marketing dollars move elsewhere. They are effectively trapped in a domestic market where their value is being actively devalued. Meanwhile, the new stars enter the league with multi-million-dollar NIL and endorsement deals already in place, making the prioritization rules a non-issue for them. The psychological toll of this transition on the 144 cannot be overstated. There is a sense of professional gaslighting occurring where players are told the league is healthier than ever, even as their individual job security feels more precarious. The veterans are being asked to be ambassadors for a version of the league that is effectively erasing their contributions in real time. This was most visible during the 2024 All-Star break, where the marketing focus remained almost entirely on the rookie versus veteran narrative. The celebration was not about the league's progress, but about the changing of the guard. As the WNBA enters this next phase, the old guard is realizing that the growth they fought for is not the growth they are going to inhabit. The owners have seen the data, and the data suggests that the WNBA as a brand is less valuable than the individual stars it currently employs. This has led to a minimum viable product approach to the rest of the roster. If the stars are on the floor, the owners believe the fans will show up, regardless of who is filling the other 4 spots. This replacement theory of roster management is the final stage of the league's corporate transformation. The veteran leadership, once considered the backbone of the league's culture, is now being viewed as an unnecessary overhead cost. The end result is a league that is more profitable, more popular, and more volatile than at any point in its history. The sisterhood has been replaced by a hierarchy, and the foundation has been replaced by a stage. Obada, the veterans thought they were building a home where they could retire with dignity, but they were actually building a platform for someone else to stand on. As the 2025 and 2026 seasons approach, the transition will likely be completed. The old WNBA will remain only in the record books, while the new WNBA continues its expansion, focused entirely on the future and the few individuals who can guarantee its profitability. The owners have made their choice, and they are not looking back. The door to the house has been locked, and the keys have been handed to a new generation.